I've had the opportunity to be a passenger in a 2015 Perodua Axia standard G for roughly the last 3 years. So here's my review of the 2015 Perodua Axia standard G as a passenger. Starting out with the fuel cap. To release it, you must pull on a lever on the right side of the driver's seat, basically not allowing passengers to open the fuel cap. Moving the fuel cap release lever in between the front two seats would be an ideal solution. Also, to note that the hinge for the fuel cap has started to rust. Then there's the boot lid. I dislike how little the wiper wipes on the rear window and dislike how there's always dirt along the bottom of the rear window. I also dislike how the third brake light is positioned behind the rear glass. The third brake light gets so hot that it causes the window tint to fail. I feel like that there is enough space above the rear window for a third brake light. To release the boot lid, you either need to use the key on the boot lid or pull a lever located on the right side of the driver's seat. None of these methods are convenient for passengers. An exterior boot release on the boot lid and on moving the boot lid release lever in between the front two seats would be ideal solutions. Then there's the boot. The passenger shelf and the boot floor are both covered in a material that collects dirt easily and isn't easy to clean. There's also a load lip, and when the rear seats are folded, there isn't a smooth transition between the boot and the rear seats. I think Perodua could raise the boot floor to eliminate the boot lip and to make the transition between the boot floor and the rear seat smooth. Space between the full-size spare and a raised boot floor could then be also used for storage for general items and for the jack and safety triangle. By default, the jack is stored underneath the front passenger seat and the safety triangle has no set space for storage. I really dislike how I'm unable to use the space underneath the front passenger seat. Moving into the rear and to the rear door cards. I find the window size to be too small. There's a design line just above the door handle that I think should be where the window starts. Then there's the bottle/cup holder. If only the door cards were molded slightly differently. As well, it can fit tall bottles. Removing and placing in tall bottles is on the difficult side. The rear seats are overall decent, however the lack of adjustable headrests and the large headrests for the front seats annoys me. About the front headrests, why are they so difficult to adjust and remove? The Perodua Axia has a neat tissue holder compartment embedded into the front passenger seat, but I find the space too limited and struggle to fit even a small, regular size cardboard tissue box. Regardless of what seat I'm sitting in, I dislike the small gauge cluster. I strongly believe that all passengers have the right to easily see the gauge cluster, and in the Perodua Axia, the gauge cluster is small and positioned deep into the dashboard, basically not allowing any passenger to read the gauge cluster. All passengers get a 3-point seatbelt, however the implementation of the 3-point seatbelt for the middle passenger and the back seats is not that great. Keeping it away is complicated, and if you're rough, you find a plastic panel to come up too easily. On the topic of safety, the 2015 Perodua Axia Standard G has 2 front airbags but no anti-locking brakes. As a passenger, if I had to choose between ABS and airbags, I'll personally prefer ABS because ABS can prevent a crash while airbags are only good when a crash is occurring. Moving into the front seats, I find the glove box too small, and I also find unused space in front of the cup holders that could have been used somehow. The cover for the 12-volt socket has gotten loose over the years and is now annoying me. The space beside the 12-volt socket would benefit from being deeper, however there's something behind it. The air conditioning controls would be easier to operate if only they sticked out more. And then there's the radio. I think that the buttons should be either larger or merged into a single DIN form factor. I feel like there's so much wasted space that a single DIN compartment underneath the radio would have been possible and better. The radio quality is decent, but the sound is relatively flat, lacking bass. On the move at higher speeds, the cabin can get quite loud, especially with tire noise. You can be comfortably hearing the radio at 100 km an hour, but when you arrive at a traffic light, the radio will be uncomfortably loud. Even as a passenger, I dislike the lack of auto up window for the driver's side. It annoys me as it causes the driver to multitask, meaning closing the window and driving. And multitasking when driving is never good. Overall, the Perodua Axia is quite disappointing. As a passenger, I feel like the car tries hard implementing many features, but fails to execute most features properly.